Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, my pleasure. I was going to say, Azulio's back.
It's back.
And we've got at least one of y'all's wearing blue.
I know. I got the black shirt. I
Okay.
didn't coordinate.
Because we talked a lot about blue.
And we're in a blue room.
And we're in a blue room.
And I know you don't like blue.
I mean, I love blue. And I wore blue. So, blue slacks.
Yeah, they can't see that.
I know. You're right.
But he put the green jacket on.
Right. So, I'm getting y'all back on. We're about 30 days since the last time you were here, and I would envision that a lot has happened with launching Azulio, and I want to hear all about it, man.
Yeah.
We've already talked a couple stories, but
yeah, I mean, not before the camera got on.
Right. So take it away.
I will say we have seen hiccups as a normal startup would. We've seen success, and we're just noticing that there's a difference on the quality of agents.
Oh yeah, welcome to my world.
Yes, there is definitely different conversations that are being had, and the conversations with the agents who run a business is entirely different than the agents who are running a hobby.
Okay.
The agents who are running a hobby, I'm noticing, are not investing in their business and don't understand how to invest in their business. Their business typically runs from their iPhone. It's some paper notes that is here and there, and there isn't really a big presence to have a system that runs their business and helps them through their business. A lot of manual tasks, a lot of sticky notes, a lot of I'm trying to remember. But when we get to the portion of the agents who are running a actual business, the adoption rate has been much higher.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that because now I feel like you're in my world. We've talked about this on the podcast, I mean, to great extents. So it is kind of music to my ears to hear you be on the other side of things and,
Yeah, I think you can be working in your business and you can be working on your business. And most folks don't understand the difference between that. It's like if you're in the day-to-day, making sure that everything actually happens, the question is, what business do you have if you had to take a step back?
Sure.
And then there's folks who Matt described who are working on their business. And so when we take a look at any business model, agent or not, it's very difficult to start a business for nothing. So in real estate, you can get a license, and you can pay for referral leads, and you've effectively started it for what feels like, air quotes, nothing. The reality is you give up a disproportionate amount of your commission to do the deal, and so you're actually working for less. And over time, that takes away from your ability to build that business because you're actually supporting someone else's business. And that can be a range of commission structures. We don't have to get into all of that. I think people listening to this can kind of figure out where that's going. And so if I said to you, it actually takes $50,000 or $100,000 to start a really good real estate business, you might say, whoa, that's a lot of money. But then you look at what the teams and the organizations who are still having good years right now, like we were talking to them, they're still posting good numbers. They're not the best numbers they've seen, but they're outperforming their peers. They are talking in dollars like that. And so that's what gets us excited about it, because Azulio does not cost $100,000. Talk to us depending on your team size. We've got a range of options, but it lets you compete like you're spending those six figures. And so another way that we look at it is, how do we give you a lot of your time back? And you and I were talking about this before we hopped on here. But you don't actually want to be following up with the task of getting someone to be where they say they're going to be. That's not productive use of your time. You've already found them. You've agreed to do business together. How do you meet to discuss the strategy of what they're either going to sell or buy, depending on where they're at in the process? A lot of agents, I don't think, factor in the time they spend managing up until that point. But I'll tell you, the high-performing teams do. And so they want systems and technology that amplify the, yes, we sold you well, we can help you in your endeavor, whatever that would be. It might be a buy-sell, might be just a sell, and maybe you're relocating, and I can't help you on the other side because you're moving across the country, so I'll make a referral to someone who maybe can help you. But they're thinking through all those moving parts. How do I get you to where you need to be? And some of the agents that I think are struggling right now, they're not thinking about the systems and tools and how that amplifies them. So if I said to you, let's just pick a number, it's a fictitious number. If I said to you, for $5,000, you can work half as much.
Wait, clarify. What do you mean?
You can spend half as much time in your week
Right.
and have the same income. And this is just a number. I'm just picking it up because you probably say yes to 5,000. You probably don't say yes to 50,000.
Sure.
Right? But there's a point to which you say, well, how could I earn the same? Well, because you're actually working 7 days a week. And you're not thinking about that. Now, obviously, you can bring that number down, and we do, depending on where you're at in the continuum. If $5,000 isn't the entry point. But for you, immediately looking at your business, if you said $5,000 a month, I don't have to work 60-hour weeks, I'm working 30 hours. Well, why is that? Because 30 hours of your day, or your week, I should say, is going to tasks that actually don't move your business forward.
Right.
Offload that to technology. Now, how do you spend your time? You spend your time on the things that matter. That moves your business forward because now you're not working in your business, you're working on your business. And that's, I think, a concept that I think has really come clear since the last time we spoke. And so I think when we share that message to folks, they better understand the value and where they could get their time back because most strong agents and teams are working 7 days a week. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, no, and this is something that I have dealt with for my entire career is having conversations with agents and figuring out ways to either improve productivity or improve revenue. And one of the biggest obstacles that you're going to be up against is going to be the big agents that come on my podcast and beat their chest about the fact that they just love on their people. They don't buy leads. They don't, they don't have drip campaigns. There is a big flex in the real estate community around two things. Number one, I don't buy leads. I just work my sphere of influence. And number two, it is to your point, only business where if this is like hard for me to like not just laugh out loud because the analogy I've given, and I'll say it again, is if somebody went to Thanksgiving, it's the end of September. We have Thanksgiving around the corner.
Yep.
If I went to Thanksgiving and I said, ding, 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 I'd like to make an announcement. I went to my local bank. I took out a loan for $50,000. I got my HVAC license, and I am going to open a heating and cooling company. Everyone would be like, raise a glass. Best of luck on your endeavors.
Yes.
No one would even bat an eye. But if I went ding, 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 I went and got my real estate license. I went to the bank. I'm taking out $50,000 to invest in my business. Not only would everyone who's not in real estate in that room look at me and go, what are you talking about? There would be other agents that I could, based on their production, would have to consider mentors that recording on my podcast are telling everybody, love on your people. I've never bought a lead in my life. I don't have all of you. I don't spend money, this and that. Like, it's a tough thing for me to hear. And I'm telling you, this is what you're up against.
But we know that the data shows something that's very different and quite disturbing. So approximately 1.1.
But wait, you don't know insert top agent who just got an award at whatever brokerage they're at.
But those are the exceptions.
And he and she are saying to me that this is what they're doing.
And the truth is they are doing that.
Okay.
They're probably not 5 years in the business. They're probably not 10 years in the business. They're probably seasoned.
True.
And so there's time that's on their side. And what's changed in that 25 years? Well, the internet's come on strong. Brokerages have changed. Consumers have changed the way they buy and sell. A lot has changed. So if you said to me, those same agents were pounding their chest 25 years ago, I will never need to have a cell phone. I have an assistant who manages my day.
Right.
Those folks probably aren't working today.
That's a good point.
And I'll say a second thing on that is the data shows that is not common at all. It is an achievable objective.
Turn the air on.
But if 60% of agents don't transact more than 4 deals in a year, they are not achieving that.
Correct.
And I would suggest that the individual who is achieving their objective through the network that they've created, there is probably still lift. The question is, do they want that lift? But if you're an agent that's maybe somewhere in the 5 to 10 years in the space, you're coming up into a very different industry, right? Technology's on your side. It can amplify you. It's also cutting against you. You have big competitors in your space who offer you a referral lead. And we won't name names, but they're offering you a referral lead for a very high price.
No, you can absolutely say the name. We're going to talk about that.
Okay, so like you've got the websites.
We got Zillow.
Okay, so those folks have grown their business by turning you into a widget.
Correct.
They may care about you individually, but as a group of 1.5 million individuals
They
who are
drink
licensed,
your milkshake.
they need you to transact.
Yeah.
What have they done? So this is what's a really interesting conversation. You can't build technology for nothing.
Correct.
Okay? These folks have spent millions to take half your paycheck. And
I looked it up. About $88 million a year is what they spend.
So isn't that mind-boggling? But for the agent that you described who won't invest in themselves, who's working in their business, not on their business, they won't spend a couple $1,000s a month?
Isn't it mind-blowing? See, we're saying the same thing.
But what will happen is they won't be in the space. So that's where Matt and I are super excited about this, because that doesn't have to be your future. You don't have to compete dollar for dollar. You have to get smarter about building your business.
Right.
And the folks who are pounding their chest and saying, you know, I only get referral business, good for you. That may not actually be how you started your business. You probably went to networking events. You probably sat in coffee shops. You probably had friends take you out for lunch. Your spend to get the lead, air quotes, was maybe not a pay-per-click campaign.
Right.
But you spent money.
Oh.
You just didn't think about it that way, because not all work looks the same.
Try getting them to say that.
But if we're honest,
we won't get sale if we say that.
we won't get that. But if we're honest, those folks, they've achieved something, and congratulations for them.
Yeah.
But that was probably 25 years in the making.
It's possible.
Right?
It's possible.
It wasn't 5 years in the making. Unless
Yeah, it could be.
Could be? How
Yeah.
would they do it in 5 years?
I'm seeing a lot of it.
Okay. Where they don't do any referral, they don't do any paid ads.
Okay, let's talk about that agent for a second.
Okay.
So I can think of, I got at least 4 or 5 in my head right now that have done that.
And I'm not. This isn't about Azulio. This is about handling
Industry.
objections with the people that you're trying to sell to. And I'm here to tell you that in addition to the objections that you're going to receive from the individual themselves, those objections are validated by their heroes.
Correct.
Sure.
100%. That is spot on.
And those folks might not be our customer.
Right.
They want to go down a different path.
Hold on, they could be your customer if there's a mindset switch that they're coming out of working in their business to on their business.
Yes.
Because they have built a network of who their clients are. They have built a network of asking for the referrals. But if we tell them, we can say, hey, we can actually automate that process for you. It's still going to come off as a friendly touch to your clients, and you can have that conversation. That is a total possible scenario that we can throw out there. The problem that you and I are running into when we talk about the hurdles that we have as a startup is the expectation of real estate agents and the pricing that is associated with other competitors in the space and what they're actually providing that is nowhere near close to what we are providing, but they're used to the pricing of what is in the space right now.
So you mean the $79 offer?
Correct.
That people
Like,
think runs their business.
We'll just use Wise Agent. Remember we used that for like a hot 2 months just for
I don't
cheap.
even remember it, but
We
sure.
did it in Nina's office for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we set that up. Absolute dog shit.
Mm-hmm.
How much was it?
$79 a month
Why is that price the price?
because I bought
It's
it.
not $100. It's not $50. It's $79. Okay.
We bought it online. Literally clicked submit. I just want the software. Okay, loaded up some context in, built some very very basic automations, set my stages, set my tags, did my thing. Right. Our adoption rate on that was, like I said, a month or 2 months. It was terrible. So then we moved back to Follow Up Boss. We were on Follow Up Boss, and I was running my team off of that. That's like the well-known brand. Follow Up Boss in the industry is not known as cheap.
Who owns Follow Up Boss now?
Zillow. Yeah. So your data is owned by Zillow now. With it being Follow Up Boss, the automations are very limited of what the options are. It has a great user interface. It's very Mac OS-y, if that makes sense.
We're not going to go down that path though today. With you and the
That's fine. We're
don't
good.
go. Well, that would be like a whole hour, and we should have beers and live stream it. And people can
Should we have
chastise
the
it.
beers?
The beers.
Yeah. And the pricing on Follow Up Boss, let's say if you want a single license is less than $100. If you want maybe 5 users, and I'm quoting off of memory here, it's going to be roughly like $4.99 or $5.99.
Right.
You get to 30 users, it's $8.39 and $17 additional on top of that. So, do they onboard you? No. Do they set up your automations for you? No. Do they build out marketing campaigns for you? No. It's a very much of a not turnkey solution that has a great user interface that you can go into, which is completely different than what Azulio is. Azulio is going to set up your automations and build it for you. We're going to build out your marketing campaigns. We're going to walk you through what the drips need to look like. We're going to build you custom AI agents. You're going to have the ability to have blue iMessage. You have all these things that could fire hose the whole audience watching this. It is just not a like product when we're looking at that. It's very hard for the consumer. Sure, blame us on this on the sales process. It's very hard for the consumer to say, well, I don't need that stuff. Okay, if you don't need that stuff, do you not value your time? Leverage technology, leverage us. We're going to onboard you. That has definitely been the biggest hiccup we have seen so far as a startup with Azulio.
Or just playing devil's advocate, I could go online and use social media and go to networking events and convince real estate agents that I have ways that they can work their sphere of influence with no initial investment whatsoever. And I can just get maybe 20, 30, 40 agents to work underneath me, and then I don't have to spend anything.
That's possible.
Isn't that isn't that what y'all are up against now?
It could be. I don't know. I don't know how those agents.
I don't know because
how are those 20 or 30 agents that you then work with successful?
Based on what I see on social media, we got some people out there that are.
You got some content, bro.
Let's be careful about what folks.
You mean
post.
social media is not reality?
It is not reality.
Ah, that's interesting.
I close 4 deals. I buy a Ferrari.
Yeah, the Ferrari might be leased for a day, and Dad gave me the money, and I didn't actually close those 4 deals, but it looked like it. I would say one of the other things, that we've brought alongside to help is, when we talk about the onboarding experience, and Matt highlighted the difference here, it's what is the business you're in as an agent? Are you in the business of setting all of those things up and that you think your secret sauce is this area? Or is it that you're an expert in sales and you're an expert in finding an individual a home or helping them sell a home, getting top dollar, getting the best offer? That's normally, when we think about the space, where folks want to spend their time. Now, if you look at the top performers, that's where they spend their time.
Yeah.
They don't spend their time in chasing emails, whether that's someone who uses technology, has an assistant, or runs their business off their iPhone. They are not in the minutiae. They're managing that aspect of their business, and when you're ready, they're there.
Yep.
And so
Go ahead. Sorry.
when we bring folks alongside who say, well, I actually need to grow my business. I need to spend advertising dollars. Well, you don't know anything about pay-per-click. You don't know anything about putting up advertisements in Meta, which is a great opportunity. But I'll tell you something that's really interesting, that the data absolutely reveals, and agents are blind to it. Agents spend time on Instagram. We can connect with agents on Instagram, and we do. But you know where a lot of their clients spend their time? LinkedIn. Look at professionals who are engaged. Do you know the footprint that the average agent has on LinkedIn is minimal? So the same effort that you're engaged in
What do you think the
Instagram,
reason for that is?
I'm going to get in trouble for saying agents aren't that professional.
Okay.
So we can help them with that. But so one of the things we do is the social media footprint, anything and everything, right? So if you go in, I'll give you an example. If you were an agent and you went into an open house and you wanted to shoot some content and you're like, this is what I'm seeing in this neighborhood, and you've got your area where you're clearly trying to get a footprint and a foothold and become the expert, you're already in that open house. Or maybe you're doing a listing and you're doing a walkthrough and you want to share that content. Do you know how fast it is to convert that into a LinkedIn post as well? Literally, Azulio will help you do that.
Okay.
And so when you upload that video and you're like, put that video on the video platforms, Instagram, you can do LinkedIn video as well, but people like to read because they're often at the office, right? You just became an expert. We can help folks crush it on the LinkedIn space because who's on LinkedIn? Professionals. Who's buying houses right now? It's a certain income bracket, right? They're not only on LinkedIn, But if you're not speaking to them there, you're missing a whole opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's where I think some of this coaching comes in. If you're paying $79 a month, does that platform care? And I don't mean like, do they want you to be successful? Obviously there's good people working there. But do they actually care about the performance outcome? And are they taking a vested interest in saying, hey, we recommend you do this? I'll give you an example. An agent told us they have no social media footprint. That's like saying you don't have a phone.
Yeah, I would agree. I know a few of them.
So it works, except some of the folks who are saying they don't have it don't have the business they want. So if you don't have the business you want today, what are you going to do today to have the business you want tomorrow? You're doing all the activities. So this is the thing that I think is the power of the solution we've built out. You don't have to do more. We're actually giving you that time back. You can do it all from your phone if you're so inclined. But if Matt's at an open house, one of his team members at an open house, and they're shooting some content, they pull out their phone, boom. If you were doing the same, if I was doing the same, if one of our other clients was doing the same, they've just taken that 2 to 3 minutes and they've amplified it. They can speak across 6 platforms.
Right.
And you can easily convert video into text, right? Like the tool's right there to do it. And so now you can have a very dynamically engaged post. Like obviously Instagram should not look like LinkedIn, help you with all of that. But just think about the potential if maybe you're the only agent in your area who's on LinkedIn. Your business is going to change. And by the way, you're right. You're not paying for that lead. You're paying for Azulio to help you get that lead.
Right.
You didn't do a PPC. You didn't do a Meta. It also sits out there.
Oh, believe me, I'm on your side here.
No, but I'm just
you know,
talking through the thought process of I don't pay for a lead. You're right. A lot of the leads we get for our business, we don't pay for. We spend time to get by creating value and opportunity to engage with us.
I mean, for the record, that comment has always been very silly to me. I've never understood, the flex in I don't pay for leads. I mean, I'll take it even a step further. I've had instances where, and we've talked about this, where just in leads in general, where people will complain and say, oh my God, we'll just use Zillow. I paid Zillow $2,500 last month and all I got was one deal. And it's like, well, what was your commission on that deal? And when we run the numbers, without,
you netted 13.5.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
even if it's a small amount, right? So let's just envision that even after your company split and everything.
4X.
Yeah. It's like if a machine like that existed, and I've said this 100 times, if a machine like that existed where I put in $1 and $4 came back out, I'm
putting in
fucking
thousands.
sleep.
Yes.
I wouldn't sleep. Right.
So that's where we see the excitement of this is the amplification. So I'll give you an example of there's a cost to wait. Okay. So literally talking to a client texted me yesterday, checking in. And we talked to them in August, and it wasn't quite right fit for them. Great offer, going to support them. Checking in, just kind of like that friendly engagement, reaching back out to me to see how things are going. And I can see they're in the Austin area. Won't name names, but we can see in our data that there would have been somewhere between 3 to 5 transactions that would have gone their way. We're just seeing the leads come through. We're handling it. We can see if they had spent a little bit of money and been on Azulio that they would have easily picked up those. And let's just assume they've got a 25. So 1 in 4, maybe they're a little low, 1 in 5 converts. That single commission pays almost for Azulio for the entire year. And by the way, what happens next month? Well, that client that you just sold maybe has a referral. System kicks in.
Sure.
And so there's a compounding effect. The problem, I think, with the commission to referral model is, you're on a hamster wheel until you're not. And how do you get off that hamster wheel?
Right.
If you're always paying such a large portion of it. Now, the $2,500 to make $1,300 net, that's a good deal, but that doesn't happen every month. And then someone else may do it for a little less.
And that's typically not if we're talking on the Zillow aspect, it's typically going to be like the 5th or 4th spot on a zip code. It's not premier.
Right.
So you're not guaranteed a certain amount. So that's where the risk comes through. So like the Zillow game is like where we can tee this into the Zillow lawsuit in a second. But the Zillow game, if you're not 1 or 2 in the spot for that zip code, it's like not even worth doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So where those zip codes are going to be even more prosperous now is because Zillow Flex is probably going to go bye-bye. That is a guess I'm going to have and what I expect to see out of this lawsuit. And for those that don't know, consumer came forward and basically said that the referral fee is technically being paid for by the buyer and they're getting misled by clicking contact agent and found out that that is a referral fee that is actually being paid to Zillow by them just clicking the button contact agent. If this was a paid advertising, it'd be a different story. But since this is the site that's putting it up is truly, they believe that is driving that traffic to pay that referral fee, that's where the consumer has the issue with it, and that's where the lawsuit came from.
Interesting.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Well, and I think you're going to see more of that in our industry. So I think one of the things in real estate and the mortgage space is that there is a whole host of fees that are buried in standard fees and not disclosed. So folks don't know they have option or choice. I think this Zillow example, dovetails into some of the data we saw in August. We bring on a client, they show us, earlier in the year, they're averaging, with all their loaded costs, they're in about $3,800. They're not using Zillow. They've got a high ad spend. They're not converting at the rate they should be, so they're about $3,800. They come in, we start seeing initial data as they go live at the back end of August, and we'll follow up with the data for the month of September. But they took $2,000 out of that cost because they're getting more targeted. They're following up more consistently. It's not that the person didn't express interest or intent. They literally called back in 2 days. They had a meeting 3 days out that they could have attended, but they never asked for it at that process. So they're calling 2 days after. They're not giving them the opportunity to move through the process. And so the conversation we have is like, how's that possible? Well, it's not rocket science, but you have to have a system to do it. So you either pay someone to do it or you pay the technology to do it. We're of the mind that you scale faster when the technology
Most
does
people
it.
don't pay. Yeah, most people. Most agents going to be like, I'm just going to get you that lead.
Yeah, and that lead's already made a decision. They didn't click one ad. They didn't express one intent. They expressed it at several different places. Whoever comes back soonest with an offer that they feel comfortable moving forward with, some of that might be that they researched your social media footprint and you have none. Some of it might be that you had a lot of it and you had great, compelling content. Maybe you had something on your website that really drew them in. And then you treat them in the manner that they expect to be treated to make the largest purchase of their life. And so waiting 2 days might feel good for an agent to say, like, I didn't have the time to get to you. But the consumer wanted you to get back right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can help you do that, and because of that, you drive your costs down, the consumer's happier, and you should be a ton happier. Because now what we did is we gave you $2,000 more from that one deal. Spend that extra $2,000 next month and have the compounding effect. That's how you dominate, right? And so these big teams that continue to grow, they're doing that business over and over and over again. So when they know the cost model, I'm going to bring another agent on, which means I need to have deal flow of this. Like, all of those are metrics that they're seeing because they're managing a business. And so for the small team or the individual agent or the pair, whether that be spouse or two people who choose to work together, they need the power to compete. Otherwise, they're really going to like a Zillow and saying, "Man, I need to pay referral fees." And we just talked about that hamster wheel that gets them on, and it feels good at first because it helps them. But then in 6 months, where's their business?
Yeah.
And their business is in the same spot that it was 6 months ago.
To your point, though, I actually have no issue with Premier Agent. If you're doing it and you're paying for the zip code as an advertising cost, I have zero issue with that. And we Azulio can help you with the automation through the entire portion of it and build an integration to where the Zillow lead comes through. Yep. We hand you the entire process. But we're to Rob's point where it's like we have this referral fee that's due of 40% or 45% or 50%, whatever it might be. Like, that doesn't provide an actual return on investment. If it's a 50% referral fee, that's 1-to-1. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to go run that into a portion where you have an ROI on it.
That's not the only cost of the transaction for you either, right? So like folks it adds up to like they think 15,000 in their head, but that doesn't hit their bank account.
And so
it's
you're saying close, that if it wasn't for Flex, then agent or buy-side commissions would be lower?
If it wasn't for Flex, buy-side commissions would stay the exact same.
Uh-huh.
But the consumer on the lawsuit believes that since he is clicking that, his money is going towards that.
Okay.
And even on the referral side of things, but because the agent's not paying for it up front.
Right.
Since the agent is paying for the advertising cost,
mm-hmm.
they're providing that the Zillow would then be providing that as a service to the real estate agent. Flex is being provided as we give you free leads up front, mindset wise. The buyer's going to pay the referral fee and the commission, and bring the money forward plus the lender, depending on the amount down, and seeing how we can go that rate. That's where the loss is coming from.
So I guess the question is who's actually paying that fee, and did they have a part in it? I'm not a lawyer, but it would seem like not all parties consented to the split there, and there's a conversation to be had. I don't know what the actual impact is. I would say that a good agent is worth their fee.
When you do a referral fee from another brokerage, maybe even or even inside your brokerage, does the buyer know that a portion of the commission is going to another agent?
Yeah, it's on title.
Okay.
It has to be disclosed.
So if Zillow just goes on that form,
if Zillow was on the form, that'd be a different story.
Okay. So
but then there's also a disclosure process.
That's a private DA
before.
though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like when I was at XYZ brokerage before Spyglass, they were a Zillow Flex brokerage. On the DA, it's an estate, Zillow Inc., number amount, Matt Kemps, number amount, Spyglass Realty, number amount.
Yeah.
Of course, Matt Kemps is almost always the smallest number. But that was the part where it was like, okay, that was disclosed internally. That doesn't go to the consumer. The consumer didn't see that. All the consumers
Does the consumer see it, though, when it's like an EXP agent from Florida to you here in Texas?
Because that agent's going to be on, it's a separate payment. So on there, you're going to have EXP Realty, and then you're going to have another brokerage underneath below it on the Alta.
So Zillow technically is a brokerage, right?
Zillow could do that.
Right.
They're not.
But they probably should.
But to your point about the Florida, the likely conversation is there's someone who's moving from Florida to Austin. Let's just keep with the theme. And they say, hey, I need a recommendation of someone to use. And they go, let me refer somebody to you. You haven't entered into anything until you say choose to use that agent. I think where some of this gets a little sticky on the Zillow experience is you're kind of moving into it without fully understanding what happens.
You don't know.
So you click call, you get on a phone call, someone who's really great at their job helps you, and you say yes. Okay? What did you say yes to? You don't know the details of that. And so it's not spelled out. It's not, hey, if you click this, you're going to potentially work with an agent who has to give up 40% of the commission that you feel that you're paying, right? So like the NAR side, if you're on the buy side, it's very clear, right? That all has to be done before you walk into the home and have that deal. And so is that being disclosed? And I think there's...
The other part that we're not even talking about is in the lawsuit, it states that the consumer thought they were contacting the listing agent.
Yeah.
Which is, I would say
that's what's the lie behind that?
Wants the direct source, and then...
because they feel like they can cut out the buyer's agent.
Correct.
Right. So it's...
Well,
if you
that can be construed that way.
That is the why. We know that.
Okay.
I've talked to tons of
yes and no, but I'm going to actually defend on that side for a second. The listing agent is going to know the immediate answers to all the questions related to it, and the listing agent is not representing you at that standpoint and can relate all the public facts about the property. That is instant gratification. The buyer agent who you have not interviewed yet or had any process with doesn't know anything about the property unless they look at the MLS. Once they've looked at the MLS, they can have a conversation with you. So when I was working Zillow Flex and I was getting coached on this, it was not answer as many, don't answer the questions about the property. It was set the appointment. You'll discuss everything once you're at the property, any questions you may have. And this is what Zillow was teaching us.
So it's just more about disclosure. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Disclosure and instant gratification about getting data about the property that we're technically withholding.
Because at the end of the day, what Zillow has done is they've spent, over 20 years and arguably $88 million a year over the last God knows how long to do a really, really good job of marketing homes.
Yes.
Right?
They're the on-ramp to real estate.
And they are a household brand name that everybody knows, for lack of a better term, probably trusts. Everybody's like, hey, it's Zillow. I mean, don't trust your estimate, but everybody knows who Zillow is. So they've done a phenomenal job of marketing listings, arguably better than the agents, because they have a bigger budget, everything along those lines.
The experience is great. Like, think it from a customer standpoint.
So if they can get everything together as far as the legality and the paperwork and letting the public know that, that's really all they have to do. Is that what I'm hearing y'all say?
Well, and you have to disclose on the button that this is contacting a Zillow Premier agent or Zillow Flex agent, not the listing agent. That will be the fix.
There's got to be a lot of education, too, because I think consumers aren't quite clear on what's happening. If this is a legitimate claim, like I'm not an expert in the law here, but if this is a legitimate claim to not understanding what I was engaged in and somehow I entered a contract without actually explicitly entering a contract, then there's got to be a case here. Because what happens if I don't want to pay my agent to pay 40% to Zillow? What's my choice now? I've entered the call, and so if I engage with that agent, they have to pay Zillow. Well, what was my option not to? Was it to go somewhere else? And that's where I think it becomes...
So hypothetically, it would be like an issue if a real estate agent was also involved in like a marketing AI company and was taking agent commissions for compensation of the software.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but how about let's explore this. Imagine, and I don't know that this example exists, but I'll put it out there because I bet you it does exist. Do you think the consumer only clicked in one spot?
Absolutely not. He
Okay,
contacted
right.
multiple agents.
So what if they contacted the same agent through different paths?
As soon as their profile, there's a loophole there. As soon as the agent contacts the first contacting agent, that person stays with them for 24 hours. And if the agent does not select in X amount of time that this is my agent on the Zillow platform, that agent gets released, and then it can be released to another agent paying for the service.
Okay, so let's talk about the hypothetical scenario where if I'm not an agent, but if Rob was an agent,
Mm-hmm.
and that you clicked one of my pay-per-click ads and I wasn't quite fast enough to call back and you didn't get a call back from me.
There's no callback.
No, but you click on my pay-per-click ad.
Not Zillow.
I'm not on Zillow.
Okay. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
the
no.
goat is here.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
We got you all
Come
set up
on
over
down.
here.
Oh, right here. I'm all set up.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
headphones and
Then you're gonna
everything.
be right there, man.
Fives, bring them in. It's good to see you.
Hey, we're talking about your hefty Zillow spend.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So here's my
7.
hypothetical scenario, which I don't know.
Your headphones don't work, but enjoy.
But
You'll,
put them,
you'll
Yeah,
look
you
cool.
don't have to
You'll
wear
look
them
cool.
on. You look
You
cooler.
can hear us.
I mean, look at you guys.
I
Yeah,
know.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
wanna
Oh,
get the
there we
nostalgia
go.
going?
So much better.
I realized I got a
silence you guys
dead
little
cable.
bit.
So what if this hypothetical scenario, and we don't have to go down this too far for too long, but I have a real estate business in theory. This is hypothetical because I'm not an agent, but I've got a pay-per-click spend. Let's just say, Todd, you want to buy a house and you click my ad, and that goes into my funnel. But then I don't get back to you fast enough, and you're also on Zillow. And then you go, oh, let me have a call. And it just so happens to route to Rob. Why does Rob have to pay 40%?
That's a great question.
And I bet you there's data out there that would say actually the first intent on the lead does not qualify Zillow to claim that. Because Rob, you expressed interest to deal directly with me, and then I click somewhere else. And I think where I think this case could go is it could open up the fact that consumers are actually coming in through a variety of avenues. So what if the agent says, you call me, I'm like, oh, hey, Todd, great to hear from you. Yeah, you know what? You just caught me at a great time. Let's talk about this. And then I go back and I look at my system and I go, well, actually, Todd wanted to talk to me yesterday. Huh. Why do I pay 40% in that scenario?
That's a great question.
I was a victim of this exact scenario.
I think there is, and now if this case goes that direction, I think Zillow has a massive exposure.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think this could get.
But now the
really-
lawsuit really doesn't have anything to do with the consumer. It has to do with, almost double dipping on
It
the
could be
client.
another case.
But
Right.
so some of this information can get exposed. I'm not the smartest in the room on this.
You might
But
be.
I just exposed a potential where we'd say, wait a second, I don't actually owe you anything, Zillow. Appreciate you connecting the phone call, but they're actually my customer already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm late to the room here, but let's back
We're happy
up.
to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
You look
guys
so
are
good.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you. It's
Yeah,
been
likewise.
way too long. But let's back up 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. Maybe you guys covered this before I got here, but we're the boots on the ground, right? The real estate agent, me. I go to somebody's house. I take notes. I, do all the work. I input it into the MLS. It syndicates. Zillow takes that information and sells it back to the agent.
Isn't that wild?
It's such a corrupt system. It's just an absolute.
And then you're spending money to try to also drive your own business, right? So just think about that. You've got your own.
Yeah, you're spending money to get the buyer leads from the thing
Yeah.
that you already syndicated.
Well, they're not
It-
selling the lead back to you. You have the listing.
No, but he doesn't have the customer,
But
but
I
they
don't-
use his information, his labor, to
And
then
then-
produce a product to which they connect on the phone.
And-
So they outmarketed you.
And hold on, kind of. If
Because as a listing agent, your job is to market the property. and Zillow successfully marketed that property better than you. Because you can
but
bring the buyer too.
They took my information.
Oh, I understand.
But why do they have access to my information?
Because they're a competitive broker. They're a broker.
Well, they
We
are
know
now. They are now.
That's
but
the answer.
They weren't.
But they are.
For years, they weren't.
They did it because they had to. Trust me, they would love to not be a broker. They would love to just be a marketing company. But they went ahead because
want to be a broker.
They have to be a broker to have access to the MLS.
They didn't.
But they do to create the legality.
You don't need to be a broker to
because
have access.
everyone in this room has the ability to do what Zillow is doing. Where as long as I have MLS access, I can create a website and I can go ahead and I can generate leads for other agents. And as a salesperson, it's very difficult to me to listen to other salespeople, a lot of them, which I know, like, and respect, act like little crybaby bitches that a company has outspent them to do what they're supposed to do with listings, which is market them.
So let me ask you
and
this,
so
though.
You still get compensated as the listing agent.
If you put your listing up in your MLS, can you check a box that says don't display on Zillow?
Yes.
Why don't more agents do that?
Because they want to continue to market the listing.
I know. I'm asking this.
Yeah.
I know the answer to this because it generates business.
Yeah.
So,
listen, I'm mad that Zillow's a bigger bear. But you've got a company that's put in 20 years worth of work and a lot of money and still continues to spend a lot of money. And if I could just eliminate all of my competition in the lending in space, I would love that. Like Quicken Loans is an example, right? Like we don't have Super Bowl commercials for Gold Star, and trigger leads is another thing that I don't know if y'all are aware of, but the moment that the credit gets pulled, I mean, Zillow, so like there's a lot of this in there. And when I sit back and I think about it, it frustrates me, right? But corrupt, you can't say corrupt because you're still going to get compensated for doing what you're doing. And if you could outmarket Zillow and get the buy side, go for it.
So corrupt might not be the right word, but for years, agents fed that beast, right? They were taking our data, selling it back to us, and agents showed up with checkbooks.
Because the buy side agent needed the listing or needed the buy side.
Yeah, I haven't written a check in a long time, but I love the fact that you
sorry guys, I'm dating myself here. So they showed up with their money.
Yep.
And it was inevitable, right? It was like running toward the cliff without any brakes. So
I get it.
I think what you're raising is the point that we're circling around this topic, and we really just got to dive right into it for a second, is how many agents are working on their business versus working on someone else's business. And what you just described is working on someone else's business. If I take almost all my business from one vendor, it doesn't have to be Zillow, and it could be someone else, like Realtor.com, Homes.com, they could be the bigger one. In the lending space, we've seen lenders be number one and come down. And so we can all be upset about the number one position, but they got there because they won more business. But if an agent doesn't want that tomorrow or next year, what are they doing today to change their business? Are they working on their sphere? Are they changing the way that they advertise and attract customers? Like I remember as a child, billboards. That was the way, because the internet wasn't there. I'm dating myself too, and
we used to do billboards.
They're still out there, man. I drove on 35.
Okay, but
the attorneys own them all.
I remember like a really slick-looking dude with a tan, and like he sold the most homes in the area, and I'm sure y'all have a memory similar. Like he was the guy. He had the big billboards, right?
The neighborhood guy, right?
Yeah, and he had the billboards, and like when he listed a house, his face was big. Like it was on that. You don't see that as much anymore. Like people's faces are not always on the listing. But that was how they marketed, and so they paid for that. He paid for that, and he was able to pay for that because either he took out a loan, like we mentioned earlier, and started a business, or he built that from revenue that he'd created and got to the point where that billboard would generate so much revenue, and they would study where it was, and billboards have kind of changed today. I don't think business converts at the same rate on billboards anymore as digital. But in today's world, the digital space is where people are converting. You can do that in a variety of fashions, and Zillow's one of them. And if you don't like that, what are you doing differently? And I think that's where we see Azulio plays in. Like, we're not in competition with Zillow. Like Matt just said, if you want to run some of your business through it, yes. But look at the income that you have as a pie. And if, say, 90% of it is not coming from where you want, what are you going to do to start changing that trajectory? And that'll take time.
Sue.
Right? No.
Sue.
That is not normally the answer.
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
Wrong.
We are on the same page.
Okay. All right.
You mean
he's all fired up over there, like let's go.
Sue,
And I'm
Sue.
like, well,
It's not fair.
That seems really expensive. Like, take the 100 or millions that you would engage in and go build a business with. It might be a better avenue. So that's an option.
What's the term that they talk about in sales? Has anyone heard where fair is where they judge pigs, right? You've ever heard that term?
Oh, there's nothing fair in sales.
FARE versus FAIR,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I mean, there's always going to be a bigger bear.
I think you're hitting a good point, though, Rob. I think agents, Zillow was the easy button, right? Like, hey, I'm going to write a check, and Zillow's going to bring me the
It's a credit card, but yeah.
credit card. All right. God damn.
Yeah.
Zelle right now, right? Zelle.
Write a check.
All right.
Venmo that
young
bitch.
man,
I still
young
write
guy.
checks. It's okay.
So, but that was the easy button,
Yeah.
right? And agents, as a whole, and maybe mortgage lenders too, you can chime in on that, but they didn't work on their business.
Correct.
They were just constantly working in their business. And that, I think,
It's like you were here the whole time.
you guys are the Azulio guys. Like, now, agents have the ability to work with a company like you guys, work on their business,
Correct.
and you guys carry a lot of that heavy load for them.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
You guys are carrying that load.
It's
for
like I prepped you for this call and I didn't.
I wish you would have. I came into this guy.
The
man.
truth is, for
Listen,
anyone who's
I-
watching,
I-
it's
listen,
like,
go.
where are you in
Zillow's
20
not
minutes?
writing me checks by any means. I mean, this argument
You
is
wish.
a combination of just like, for lack of a better term, like my true morals when it comes to sales. Like, I fucking hate what's going on.
Did
with
you just
this
say
whole Zillow.
morals and sales in the same?
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
all right.
you know, just play, just literally looking at like, you know, sales tactics, marketing, everything along those lines. Like, I mean, we've spent money to market and go after buyers and everything along those lines, and where we get it or how we get our leads and whatnot. You know, is debatable on like, are we doing this wrong? Are we doing that wrong? But closing deals is what it's all about. And yes, we could argue that over the last 20 years, like, we have fed money into a monster. But like,
It's not a monster.
I feel like, you know, with
Yeah, no.
with anything, like, did you just then be better, right? Then
but
just be better.
Back
Oh,
to our
yeah.
comment.
Over the years, him and I,
Yeah.
like just to give like, we've probably spent over $1 million together.
For sure, for sure. I mean,
And
over the
did
last
that all
like
go to
6 years,
Zillow?
A lot of
a
it
good
did.
portion of it. Yeah, I mean,
a lot of
So,
it.
but the ROI was there.
so, and
Right?
I think
And then
what,
it wasn't.
But then I think what
Yeah.
Todd's raising, and I think everyone who runs a business should look at it the same way, whether it's real estate or any other business. You never want one client to drive most of your revenue, just like you don't want
100%.
one source or one product to drive all of your mix. You're not diversified, so you can't weather the storm. To your point, it was the easy button, right? So we're not in easy times. So there
True.
not enough Zillow volume for everyone to be happy. There's not enough buyers. So this is causing the bar to get raised. It might have been easier 10 years ago to do business than it is today. I think that's from what people can spend, the amount on savings, the price of homes, the number of people who are actually in the
It's
market.
always hard.
But it's
always hard.
significantly harder now than like it was, say, 2016, 2017. This is true. Like, housing was a lot more affordable. It was less down. People's financial situation was different. So I think to Todd's point, though, is like, if you were getting most of your business and it was easy, that meant that building your business was easy. But it's not an easy time, so you have to raise the bar. How
Sure.
are you going to do that?
Yep.
Are you going to have an expert come alongside you and say, you know, we manage like $4 million in PPC. We can help you fine tune for your $50 a day budget so that you can actually convert a couple people.
And we'll teach you what your cost per lead is, what your cost per closing, what your
Right.
return on ad spend, what's all those different numbers. So
and as
for
an
sure.
agent, you shouldn't have to know any of that, because what are you good at?
Selling,
Meeting people, relationships,
negotiating contracts.
properties.
And
But are they
if
salespeople?
somebody plugs in to
Should be.
Yes, they are.
Should be.
Well, so if an agent plugs into a system like you guys are building, right?
Yep.
Not only can they continue
Built.
to build their database,
Yep.
right? They're building their database, continually putting new names and numbers and information into there, cultivating those relationships.
Yes.
This is a relationship business,
100%.
and so they're building that, and simultaneously they're nurturing the older,
Correct.
the established relationships, right?
Mhm.
This system is a home run. It's much, much better than trying to convert a Zillow lead off a stranger, right?
Yep.
In addition, Rob, you're hitting the nail on the head. Zillow's going to change, right? Whether this lawsuit
It doesn't matter,
comes
right?
to fruition or not. If you're in the Zillow bucket, you're probably sweating it right now, right?
I would
'Cause,
imagine they're
yeah,
sweating
if
it.
your business is
If you're on the
built
flex
on-
model.
Flex model for sure.
yeah, if you're in that flex model, you're probably sweating it today.
Well, and there's also, I'll tell you, there's a couple clients of ours who have told us that they're sweating it because they've paid, and because of how the program has been structured, that they're really only getting lease leads now because, you know, they don't fall
Yeah.
through they don't sieve through the filters or the levels that Zillow moves a lead through, and so they might spend for a zip code, but nothing really comes of it, and so
That's their ranking of where they are in that zip code.
and so I think to the point that you're raising though is things are going to change. Today the topic is Zillow. Tomorrow the topic could be something else. Then that doesn't really actually matter. How are you managing your
Agreed.
business to weather the changes so that you, like Todd, you do a great job with your sphere of influence now, and it's gotten better as you've rolled out Azulio, right? Like so. Then there's how are you bringing new leads in? How are you constantly growing the business and managing that business? And you can still do some Zillow if you want. There's no one says it has to be an all or nothing, but it probably shouldn't be all one source of leads. Just like if you're at a country club and you got all your business from a country club, that might not be the only way you want to grow.
Right.
Or it might be you accept the risk of
Could get kicked out for
yeah, maybe like
whatever reason.
if like someone, I won't name them, they had too much to drink and they were not nice on a golf course and they're no longer a member,
Yep.
and maybe they were an agent and that's
Peed in the trash can.
yeah. This is a true story.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is a true story. Let's not.
Okay.
Anyways,
all right.
very bad
And we're
behavior.
done here.
The club did the right
Yeah.
thing.
That
but
person isn't in the room, are they?
No,
No.
Okay.
no, of course not.
Okay.
Don't look at me.
I don't know.
Why did anybody get weird on that? Nobody here did that. But so to the point is, you shouldn't be concentrated because maybe, what if where you're getting your leads from today decides that, well, to get leads from tomorrow, you have to be exclusive with us. Now imagine like that was the outcome of this. Okay, fine. You're going to come on and we're going to run a national team. And if you aren't on our team, we're not going to give you leads. Can you imagine if your business was solely based on it and you didn't want to join that scenario? Well, all of a sudden, you have to change your business. How are people preparing for that? And I think we get excited about it because regardless of where you're getting your leads, it should be diversified. And if you're not going to your sphere of influence, you are leaving deals on the table. If you're only doing sphere of influence, you're leaving deals on the table, right? Like, so it's how do you grow a bigger, better business that meets your lifestyle, and how do you get some of the time back that would be spent doing it all manually? Like, and you know this, like there's a whole bunch of things we've shown you that are now fully automated and they run behind the scenes, and you and your team don't have to do anything now on that, and now you spend more time doing something else.
Like reverse offers.
Well, why don't
Yeah,
we? What is a
reverse
reverse offer? Come on. So you just threw that around, and I know we do that, but for everyone listening,
Yeah.
what's a reverse offer?
Me or you?
I'll go.
Okay.
Okay.
You've been very quiet.
Buyer express interest on a property, and they are dragging their feet and they're not submitting an offer, but they're telling you they have so much interest in a property. So what you can do besides doing a price reduction on that property is you can say, hey, you know what? Instead of us doing a price reduction to drive more traffic to this property, what we'll do is we're going to write you an offer from the seller to you guys that is just a little bit below list price with very strong terms, and let's see if you guys accept that as the buyer. Now what we're doing is an agent has an offer in their inbox. They are required to perform and present that offer to their client, regardless if it's a buyer or seller.
Right.
Now let's present the offer. Now they have to have the conversation. So we're calling like basically two things. One, if you're dealing with a piece of shit agent, you don't have to worry about that. And then two, the buyer now can't drag their feet because they're not required to give us a response. Their agent is required to present the offer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, in the state of Texas, you don't have to communicate anything back to us except for the fact that you've received the offer.
Okay.
But the agent has a fiduciary duty of having to present that offer to the client.
I like it.
So we have started the process of that. Todd and I have been listening together. We're in the process of that right now. And I'm probably going to go do it on every single listing I have that's probably over 50, 60 days on market. Instead of doing price reductions, which you can do, it's easier, in my opinion, as a salesperson to have the conversation with the seller saying, let's write an offer of this, let's submit it to the buyer, let's see what happens from that. Because two things can happen out of that. One, they either decline. Actually, three things happen. One, they decline. Two, they accept. Or three, they counter. And when they counter back, that is a good understanding to bring back to your seller. You are not required to accept that offer. We can also go back to the market and say, we can actually do a price reduction to the number that countered us to. No one else knows about that offer except for that buyer and us. So if they're telling us that they're willing to buy the house at that property, do you think others will buy your house at that property too?
Yeah. And do you this is, because, I don't know anything, or it sounds fairly new, but do you send them out to everybody who views the property, or just somebody?
No, just someone who's like dragging their feet.
Okay.
Like it's not. This is not a strategy to have if you have a well-priced listing that's going to sell in the first 2 weeks. You don't.
Got
It's not. That's shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
It's a listing that is unique, maybe a little overpriced, not getting the traffic you want, and when you do get the traffic you want, you don't want to lose it. So when you get that traffic, how do I make sure I don't lose it? By doing some type of action. And when Todd and I are like, okay, we need to do that action. So we send it over that, we're going to send over that portion of it and wait for a response and see what happens. And then going back to the seller, if they have 3 options: accept, decline, or counter.
And 2 of those are communications, right? So a dialogue's now been opened where you're now engaging, where you wouldn't have had a conversation.
It's just more of another creative way of how to handle this market, and agents need to start doing things like that.
So would you track that in Azulio to see how often that works and
Sure,
the strength of it?
Sure, tag it as a reverse offer on there, and then put it in the pipeline stage, and then see what the success rate is, and then just manage your analytics out of it.
So the first part is, I think we've always known this in real estate. I'm not a real estate agent myself, just as a disclaimer, but
You basically are.
it feels like, we all know that the listing side of real estate is really where the work is, the sales part of, real estate really, really is. Homes kind of sell themselves.
It's where the professionalism is.
And okay. Well, and again, I mean, you have to sit with the client and convince them.
This is very much the professional
to
side.
use you and have a very difficult conversation, I would envision the majority of the time, telling them their house isn't worth what they think it's worth, especially in this market, right?
They're hard conversations.
And even if we were in a different market, if you end up selling that property quickly, they kind of look at you and think, I feel like you might have been able to sell it for more.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I have so many
so
stories.
there's really not a lot of attaboys on the listing side, which makes it the hardest part of the sales, piece in real estate. So we touched a little bit about Zillow in regards to what they do in generating buyers. And once you obtain that listing, you kind of, as long as you can sell it within the timeline that you say that you're going to be able to sell it, you're almost guaranteed that commission eventually, right? Assuming that you can find a buyer.
So on average, 2 to 3, it takes 2 to 3 agents to sell a home. So not guaranteed.
So my question is, and because Azulio is new, and I know y'all are still, as you put it in the very beginning of the podcast, working out, what could a listing agent use Azulio for to generate a buyer?
Let's go with exactly what I'm setting up this very second at a listing. My wife is currently driving to a listing right now to put a listing sign in. On the listing sign, I have a QR code on my writer. So as soon as, let's pretend Todd's not an agent, he's a buyer, and he scans that QR code. It's going to populate the way that I built this one. We can customize it in multiple different ways. But this one I have set up to where it opens up iMessage on his phone, has a pre-populated message. Hey, we're interested in your listing at XYZ. We have a few questions. Can you give us a call? That's going to then go directly to my Azulio number. And that's an iMessage coming into Azulio as well. We receive that. If the phrase contains the exact phrase that he sent me from there, it starts a workflow. It's a trigger.
Okay. And you're sending this to people who have come in through open houses, or?
This is just on the listing sign on the writer. We can go to the open house in a second.
Okay.
He now is a consumer that has now come into my database. I now have his phone number as a buyer. He now gets tagged as XYZ property buyer. So now when I'm doing my advertising, I already know everyone who scanned as well. And then I have a list of all the submissions of who scanned the QR codes. That's another portion we get into. There's a lot of analytics I get out of this. I'm going to assign that to me as a user. I'm going to create him as an opportunity, as an open stage, and I'm going to assign an opportunity value associated to Todd, the buyer. I'm then going to have my AI agent give Todd a call immediately. And then they're going to say, hey, Todd, I noticed you have questions on 123 Banana Street. What is it you were interested in XYZ neighborhood.
Mhm.
Then they're going to tell everything about the neighborhood they like, or they say, I don't really want to talk to you. We just want some information. And then the AI agent then is then prompted to then say, fantastic. I know you wanted everything you wanted, or you wanted all the information about the property. We've actually already sent over the MLS documents over to you to your email. And that's another part of the automation. And then they say, oh, fantastic. And then the end goal of the AI agent is to set an appointment to show the property, where me or someone from my team will then show the property to them. What this ultimately creates is buyers now circling inside my team. We understand all the things, that conversations that are going on. We are not doing dual agency because we can do intermediary. And then as long as the buyer agrees to allow having intermediary, we now can then say, okay, we found the buyer, Mr. Seller, we found the buyer for you as well. If we found the buyer for you, do we get to pay? Do we get paid more? Because I'm listing your property. A buyer agent to come to your property to drive that traffic. Are you willing to? We worked extra hard for you. Look what we did. Like attaboy. Now I'm in an attaboy scenario.
Right. Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. And so, at the end of the day, going back to like just getting better than Zillow, right? Operating on a super local level, how could we use something like Azulio to basically do what Zillow is doing? The only reason people are upset is because now that buy-side commission is going to an agent where you're saying, well, they're selling us our information back. Well, they're not selling you as the listing agent back. They're selling a piece of business to another agent where now you debatably, if you can generate the buyer, you can sell that lead back to another agent or,
Yeah, sure.
because I would even envision that 40% or 50%, that would be a song.
Here's a 50% referral to Todd Bailey as your buyer.
Right, like Todd's like, hey, I've already found the buyer.
It sounds hypocritical when I say this, but in that port and then in that portion of it, that is more ethical to me.
I understand, but see that the reason I created this analogy is because I am not defending Zillow because I like Zillow, but I'm defending Zillow because if a system that you guys create can generate buy-side leads, because the moment that you get that listing, it's almost like, all right, done, or we can place that. Now the objective should be because it should be going after buyers, right? It's like, I have a listing, now how do I find the buyer?
Hold on, let's go back up a second. We helped generate that buyer lead, but we are not taking an income for that buyer lead. The agents are handling that between. We're not.
But that's what I'm saying. How do we do that?
Well,
we'd have to be a brokerage.
Yeah, let's not say we have.
Well, you could generate the buyer and then just flip it to anyone on your team and say, hey, I'll give you 10% and I'll take the rest, right?
Can we talk about?
Can't do that.
Can we talk about how cool that system is? That
let's talk about the
generates how it does all of that talking back to that potential buyer.
And I haven't talked to them one time.
And you haven't talked to them one time.
Right.
And to me, that's amazing.
And we haven't talked about what the team's working on right now. We call it data enrichment, but we're going to be releasing this in the next week or so. It's about a one-to-one marketing experience. So we're going to amplify that. So the workflow you just described, Matt, is happening in Azulio now. You scan the QR code, we start engaging and helping you. If you already have an agent, back right off, but help you get parties together.
No.
Well, we're not gonna. You don't have to recruit them, okay? Well, but so let me go down that path for a second.
Oh no, I was saying if they say they have an agent, I was saying no.
Yeah. We back off and you would deal with their agent. But if they don't have an agent, you can help.
Not back off because they are probably lying to you.
Okay,
that's true.
Let me paint this picture. Picture. Right, the sign is in the yard. Right, it's got a QR code. You scan the QR code, the system starts talking to you as the person who wants to potentially purchase this home. Right. There's not soggy, wet flyers in a flyer box out front. There's not a phone number where they're going to call you at 7:30 at night when you're hanging out with your kids. It's a system that's doing the work for you as the real estate agent, whether or not you're putting whoever that potential buyer gets assigned to. Let's set that aside just for a second to keep the argument down.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But that system is amazing, right? That is a system that has not been out there.
And if someone has a better and here's the cooler part: if someone has a better idea of another action to happen through that workflow, I can do it. I just need to know what they want to do.
Yeah,
like I built that workflow in about 5-6 minutes. Like I texted Rob, I'm like, hey, check this shit out. Like it's kind of dope.
So we're geeking out.
Yeah.
And then now that's gonna go flow, and that listing. This is even crazier. It's not even in Austin. It's gonna be in San Antonio. I'm never going to go to the house. Like I will not step foot in that house one time.
Yeah.
But then imagine if, and this is when I say imagine because we haven't shown it to you yet, and this is something we've been working on. We are now able to see a little bit more about who that individual is, maybe what their hobbies and interests are.
Yeah.
So when you finally do meet with them, like what makes it personable is discovering things about your client or potential client and learning more. And so how do we help enable you to ask some of those questions? Like maybe we know that you're interested in golf, and I know you guys are. So it's a natural, if you knew that the person who scanned the QR code loves golf, you can tee up a very natural engagement.
Ooh, nice pun. I love that one.
Right? And so, like, where do you golf? Oh, do you like golf? Like, I love golf. Like, however your natural process is, right? And all of a sudden, we've set you up to win more because you're going to ask some questions that they're naturally going to respond. Oh, yeah, I post a ton of photos of me on the golf course on my Facebook. Yeah, I love golf. Okay, now they're not going to. I know you guys do. And
I was going to go a complete opposite direction. Oh,
Okay.
you like underwater basket weaving? Oh my God, I love underwater
but
basket
see,
weaving.
now it's not authentic. So maybe you stay away from asking that question. But the goal is to have a one-to-one experience, and ultimately for the technology to go. So we're doing like the crawl, walk, run, right? We've got you with the QR code that's up and running right now. The walk is that we're going to enhance it. So if you wanted to see more about them, and then the run is that through that whole workflow, the technology is helping uncover like what's facilitating the move. Oh, I just had a child. I need a bigger house. We've had our third child. I need a bigger house. Or the empty nester is a big thing right now. My third kid's moved out. We've got too big a house. My rate's good, but I need a smaller house. Like we want to take the equity out and do other things. All of those are great opportunities that then take less time to uncover. And so we just continue to build out that solution that then makes it easier for you to sell, to your point. And all that's happening behind the scenes. If they click that at 7:30 at night, Matt's not going to be right next to the property or maybe his phone. But think about this. You've just now created a better experience for that individual who's expressed interest. And you may be on a straight, you may be at another engagement at 7:30, walking over how you need to do a price adjustment and really helping your other client be successful. And so we've just amplified you. You can't be in multiple places at once. If your phone's constantly vibrating while you're also trying to have a meaningful conversation with someone about how their house needs to come down $10,000 and they didn't really want to do that, they don't want to know your phone's blowing up, right? They want you right there locked in. And maybe it's more than $10,000 in this market. You're having a tough conversation. Nobody wants to have that conversation, but you need to be focused to help them be successful because you accepted that and you want them to be successful, but you also have another client that you got to help sell their house. So that's where I get excited about the amplification that happens in processes like that.
Yeah, I like that too because, for example, just going back to the example of interest, if they're interested in tennis, but they're looking at Spanish Oaks, I don't think Spanish Oaks has a tennis community.
It has a tennis court, but it's not associated to Spanish Oaks. They have the tennis academy.
Okay, so you'd want to let them know that like, hey, it's not part of that country club. It's part of or golf club. It's part of it's aside from it. Maybe you want to look at Westlake Country Club or Austin Country Club.
I'll give you a little some knowledge here. If it's
thanks,
a golf club,
Yeah,
it will not have tennis.
right.
If it's a country club, it will have pool, tennis, and golf.
Yeah.
Ooh, there you
we go.
But I think
Whoa! What about pickleball? Pickleball is big these days.
It wasn't incorporated in the original naming.
Oh, fair.
But I think what you're getting at is then we've just made you better. You've
Yeah.
made you able. So your objective, right, is to help someone either buy or sell a home. And if they're buying a home, where do they want to focus on? And they may not think about those things initially. And you say, well, how far are you going to drive to play tennis? Let's find you a house that's maybe a little closer. And all of a sudden your dialogue has risen. And I think something you mentioned earlier, which is, or Matt maybe had mentioned it, is on the buy side, we see it, maybe it's a little less, you said the word professional. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but there's a lot more that goes into getting the listing than maybe the process to get the buyer. But how much more elevated are you if your engagement with that buyer the first time is elevated? You've now just set yourself apart from someone who calls in 2 days and says, I can help you buy a home, and like just moves into a very rigid process. If you're now starting to send them information about, well, you're a first-time home buyer. No, I'm not. This is my second home. Okay. well, are you looking to sell? How are you helping them get to their end objective before you meet and maybe have that strategy call?
Yeah, the home is average in Austin right now 16.5% below the original list price. This property has done a list price production of 6%. There's a possibility that we still buy this house for 10.5% below what it's expected to be. There's an area of gap here. This house has a ton of leverage, like that kind of professionalism.
Yes. And so all of a sudden now, because when you expressed interest, you engaged. Azulio's behind the scene. Remember, we talk about Azulio, but from a customer standpoint, they expressed interest in working with Todd. Todd now got back to them at like 10:30 at night. Todd's probably asleep. He's got an early morning because he's got golf. So, but now they're engaged. They've scheduled time with Todd. Todd's now very different than most agents. I can tell you from having bought and sold homes that most agents don't move that quickly. I would have loved on the last transaction if that was the experience I had. It wasn't. And it's not for most. It's not actually for most. And so you've now just elevated yourself. You want the buyer to be successful. And now maybe they're a day away from being able to meet with you because of their schedule. Well, can you drop some other information along the way to elevate you, the agent? They don't have to do business with you. They're going to choose to do business with you if you help close this. We help with that. And I think in that process, agents can up their game if they're focusing on buy-side transactions, and that's where they make their bread and butter. How do they get better in a tough market? I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space. And think about education, think about communicating your value, think about communicating your expertise in the market. You mentioned the golf. You love golf. Maybe you don't know quite where tennis is. How do you quickly know that they're into tennis and get smarter on that right away? Because you were thinking that they wanted this neighborhood, that's what they expressed interest. So you might get like vision and say, but now you know that they're into tennis. Let's have a couple backup options so that when I talk to them, I'm now like 11 out of 10. I'm not a 7 out of 10. I'm like a good agent at 7, right? But now I'm 11. Why? Because I just did a little bit of work because I was empowered to be successful. And when you bring that up, they go, I didn't think about that. You just brought more value to the engagement. And that's what I think I get excited about, not being an agent, but being on the receiving side. Having someone who could be more successful in communicating opportunities to me, that's empowering. That's someone I get excited to pay to be my representative.
Yeah, 100%. I think it also builds the trust. It's really tough to build the trust on a sign call like that.
Yeah.
So if you've got a few check marks along the way, that's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible in time?
If you turn the AC on in this room?
I turned it down. I did it right from my phone.
I'm okay.
How are you okay in a hoodie and I'm sweating up a storm over here? Doesn't it feel like 80 degrees?
It was so hot when we first got in here. I agree, and
I'm also in shorts.
Are you not hot over here?
I mean, I'm always...
Ever since you got in here, the temperature in the room.
I'm going to 68 now.
I idle it at 103.
These lights
You
do
have a
get
low-grade fever, huh?
I have a low-grade fever at any given point, all the time.
Do you think it's possible in time to ultimately eliminate a buyer's agent with AI like Azulio? In other words, like I'm a listing agent. I go in, I view the property, I price it, I get everything put together, and now I'm generating interest on my listing from buyers and having that AI conversation.
The only part where I think it gets a little dicey and a little scary for buyer's agents is when there's enough education through platforms like ChatGPT and they say, I want to submit an offer at this price. Can you use the promulgated forms associated with the state of Texas? Here's what I want to do. I'm planning to do financing. It looks like the property's in an HOA. Again, I'm prompting perfectly right now. The property's inside of an HOA. There's a few non-realty items that I want to have associated to the property. It looks like this property might be in a short sale as well, so make sure you attach a short sale addendum that's attached to the MLS that I don't have access to, and put that all together for me in a formal offer that I can then submit as an unrepresented buyer. That's fucking scary.
And then GPT is going to give you back that, but not in a PDF, because it's going to say that I'm not a licensed real estate agent to actually put that offer together. So if you prompt it now, you're going to get the text back, but you won't get the PDF. To your question, that's what I'm getting right now. All right.
Well, hang on. To your point, let me push back a little bit. Have you ever been in a situation on the listing side where you are dealing with the buyer's agent who maybe is novice and writes a contract that is incorrect?
Like every single time?
Right. This is a question I don't know the answer to. I know most agents will reply back to that buy side agent and say, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
That happens all the
These
time.
changes need to be made.
Or we can be.
What if you don't do that? Right? I guess what I'm getting at is like, if this is where the future is going, won't it then just kind of be more of the responsibility? I don't know. Like, who
I can tell you.
checks
I can
that?
tell you a funny story. Am I okay to tell a story? Not use names.
Which one?
The video with the broker.
Which video, Matt?
Not you. Someone inside of our brokerage that created the video, and then sent that to the buyer agent.
I saw that video. That
Yeah,
wasn't-
I never saw that video.
Okay, then I might as well tell the story. Listing agent sends a video to buyer's agent from
Her
his
car.
or her car. We're not calling anyone out here. Saying
This is actually awesome, I think.
yeah. Basically summarizing. I'm not going to sing it because she or he was singing. I'm not paying you any commission on this because you wrote this so absolutely shitty. Try to rewriting this. This is why you're the type of agent who you are.
It was a cheeky way to be educational, but I think what you're asking is, let me reframe the question you're asking. What does a buyer side agent do to create more value in a transaction when the bar to accessible information keeps getting lowered?
Sure.
They have to raise their expectations. It's not enough just to show up and say, I'm going to represent you, and I'm going to show you the listings that you already found on Zillow, and I didn't get the Zillow reference, like you found me through another way, but you're sending me your Zillow leads, and so I'm going to show you the properties you're already interested in. Now I think you would say that, that's a hard, like if I'm already finding the property and you're not really giving me a lot of help, I would say, yeah, there's some value gaps there.
But yeah, majority of the time on the buyer's agent side, like the buyer does find the properties. They're just being blunt about it. Like they know what they like. They have the access to see everything they want to see. They don't have access to the off-market listings, which he and I would have. They will now have access to what's called flex listings if we send them links to that from the MLS. But ideally, majority of the time, they are going to know the properties they want to see. Where we add additional values and say, hey, when I reference the seller disclosure, I saw this roof was actually 15 years old and they have done nothing for it. There may be an area of concessions here or asking for a replacement cost, or this may be resultant to the sales price that was not originally taken when they listed the property. Or you may get, hey, I'm looking at this property and I talked to my absolutely fucking awesome lender, Matt Kirschling, and when we looked at that, the tax rate on this property was actually 2.8%. The sales price was $450,000. There's a house that's down the street that's not in the municipal utility district, MUD, has a tax rate of 1.98. We can buy that at $480,000. Your monthly payment on that's actually going to be less because the tax rate on your PIT inside your PITI is going to be less.
Yeah, we've done that a lot actually.
Like that is providing value.
That's worth the commission, right? And that's important information.
I think to your point, the days of ChatGPT or AI robot taking the place of the buyer's agent, is it possible? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's
one day.
that's all I'm asking.
But I think right now, currently, with real property, there's too many discrepancies.
Complexities.
And discrepancies. The information that's out there, a lot of times in the tax records is wrong.
Sure.
Right? And it takes a trained professional like Matt and myself and you to find these details and change it. And I think at the end of the day, consumers still want personal experience. Right?
Okay, another one, like where taxpayers can be wrong. It's not wrong. It's just the way if a consumer won't know how to read this. You see a property is 30 acres, but it's also a homestead. 1 acre is required to be the homestead. The other 29 acres can be the additional portion of the land. You didn't know that property was actually 30 acres when it says 29 acres and 1 acre because they're not attached to each other inside of the county, the CAD.
Yep. I see that in Hazel a lot.
Yeah.
I think maybe another analogy too is like, hey man, like I'm not going to trust ChatGPT at this point or an AI robot to manage my money.
Okay.
I want a money.
Yeah, you're gonna make a $500,000.
I did last week.
You did that
Yeah,
last week?
we did DraftKings, and I said, "Hey, create me the best AI lineup you possibly could."
And how did it
and
work out?
That's not really managing your money, man.
Did you bet on the Browns?
Just to be clear.
fuck yeah, dude. We'll talk about that later.
All right.
I think what you're onto is something that I think you'll see a shift. In cars, people still go to dealerships.
Yep.
But there is the ability to buy a car online.
Right. Carvana and CarMax.
On your point, he and I have talked this before. Why is there not a buyer agent for when you buy a car?
I mean, that's a good point.
Because like
There's not
the
enough
listing
money in the
agent
deal.
is the sale. I
Yeah.
understand. The listing agent is a sales rep, and then the broker is the VP director of sales.
Yeah.
And they're like totally trying to swindle you through a deal.
Yep.
Why is there not someone protecting me when I go to buy a car? Well, I
Well-
have my wife on this scenario because she's in the car industry, and she goes, "You're the effing idiot when you buy a car," and she protects me, and that's them. But majority of people do not have that.
So
Fair.
I think to your question, if we unpack that a little bit, I think
Can Azulio solve that problem?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can.
Let's solve that problem.
Hey, we're referencing the cars that are currently online right now. We see that this car, this Hyundai Sonata, is actually listed at 35.5. You have it right now listed at 42. For the convenience factor, I'll buy it at 37, but I'm not paying $1 more than that. And AI can actually run that analytics just searching off of CarTrack or whatever it might be across the board.
send the text, make the call,
Yeah.
do the deal for you. We don't do that now, but it can be done, and we are being approached for other verticals.
Tell him about the one about getting the car down here.
Which car down here?
Okay, I'll just go through it.
God, this makes me want to buy a car. I love buying cars.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh my
so
God,
can
me
I
too.
buy a car for you?
Oh, well, I
I
just
love
bought one.
helping friends buy cars, and then like
I hate
let's
buying
do
cars.
let's do it out of
You
state.
do?
Let's do it out of state, and let's fly up there and drive it
Oh
back.
my God, it's so cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I would buy a new car every year if I could.
Okay.
If it did depreciate,
Yeah, I
totally
mean,
screwed.
it's such
Yeah.
a bad.
Okay,
bad
so imagine you're at a car lot and you're trying to buy a car, and the same exact
yeah,
Hyundai
yeah.
Sonata that you're trying to buy right now is that one that's listed for 35 is
Why do you
insane.
So keep
Sorry, the Ford Raptor that's
Yeah,
listed at
yeah.
85,000 is in Bernie, Texas,
Yeah.
but you're at Covert Ford and it's listed at 92 there. You're like, I want to pay $7,000 less. Give me that car here. Well, then what we're working on is to have AI be able to handle the trade from getting that $85,000 car here, because we know that we can get less than that probably too, because you're going to have invoice, and then there's another term that's below invoice. I forget what the term is, but basically it's like another $800 below invoice. Figure out the trade that's going on, find a vehicle that matches for them to be able to trade that they may want to have, and AI handles the whole thing. And then always say to a dispatcher to deliver it, hey, go pick this car up, and we're going to send these guys out.
Pay the fee.
So
And then we handle that.
So the car thing is more consistent. So when you said like the buy side for housing,
Yeah,
there's
less
a lot more
complexity.
that can go wrong. Like there's a book value on a car. It's more or less sold within that range unless there's something absolutely wrong with it. And we got put onto this because a dealership approached us and said, "Look, I need help. Obviously, car sales are they're not strong either. So, but here's the problem that they expressed to us, and that's where Matt and I got thinking and asked the team, like, how do we solve this problem? Is they said, we've got calls all the time. People are calling in, like, I'm looking to get this car, and the team doesn't have it on the lot. And the top salesperson will say, 1 second, and they'll go look to see if they can get that car. Other folks who are not so motivated will say, nope, sorry, we don't have that. We have this on the lot. I've lost that lead. I could go pick that car up and trade out with a dealership that we swap cars on all the time. Maybe I got to trade and give them a couple grand, but I now have the deal. Once that consumer finds that it's at that lot over there, they're just going to do that deal. Man, I wanted that deal. All those deals get dropped. Also, today, you don't see a ton of follow-up. Like, I don't call in and reach out and then get a compelling offer. I like buying cars, too. I haven't bought one in a little while, so I'm getting, like,
Let's
a
do
little
it.
antsy.
Let's do it.
But the sophistication of the engagement could be raised,
right.
and technology can do that. And then so someone who's managing that business, the GM, wants tech to help them. Well, why do they want tech to help them? Well, because the consumer is asking for a better experience. I want to buy a car, and so, like, am I going to go on Carvana and have them deliver it for me? Is that really where the consumer wants to go? Well, they're going that direction because the other option isn't great. And then CarMax said, well, we'll move cars around, right? We're the biggest. We'll move cars around in this space. If you see a car somewhere else, we'll bring it here for a nominal fee, like no commitment to buy. But if you do buy it, like there's this little delivery fee. And they're moving cars around so much that it's just efficient. Well, how does the dealership who doesn't have that horsepower behind them, pun intended, compete? What happens if they're just one, but they have a trading relationship? So one of the cars I bought years ago, when I lived in northern Nevada, they had to go get in Vegas. And like the salesperson was smart enough. The story is I went in, wanted to buy a car. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. Someone else somehow ended up buying that car between the couple days we were going back and forth. They tried to force